Oyabasiu, Romania, often called the Bermuda Triangle of Europe, on the western edge of Romania, near the city of Cluj-Napoca. There is a forested region that locals have feared for generations. At its edge once stood small rural settlements, villages whose residents slowly disappeared, relocated, or abandoned their homes without leaving clear reasons behind. This area is known as Hoyabaciu. Historical records confirm that the land around Hojabaciu was inhabited for centuries. Farming families lived there, raised livestock, and used the forest for wood and hunting. Nothing in official documents initially suggested danger. The fear came from lived experience, not paperwork. Local villagers began reporting strange events long before the area gained international attention. Shepherds spoke of animals refusing to enter the forest. Horses would stop suddenly, trembling, refusing to move forward. Dogs would bark aggressively at empty spaces between the trees, then retreat as if threatened. People who entered the forest described a deep sense of unease that appeared without warning. Many said they felt watched, even in broad daylight. Others reported sudden nausea, dizziness, or sharp headaches that disappeared as soon as they left the area. In the 1960s, Hojabaciu gained global attention when a military technician photographed a disc-shaped object hovering above the forest. The photograph was published internationally and brought scientists, journalists, and paranormal researchers to the area. What followed only deepened the mystery. Visitors reported missing time. Watchers stopped working. Compasses spun uncontrollably. Cameras malfunctioned, even when brand new. Photographs taken inside the forest often showed unexplained light orbs, dark silhouettes, or blurred shapes that were not visible to the naked eye. Several people claimed they entered the forest for what felt like minutes, only to emerge hours later with no memory of what happened inside. Medical examinations showed elevated anxiety levels, burns on the skin, and unexplained rashes. One of the most disturbing aspects of Hojabaciu is a clearing near the center of the forest where nothing grows. Trees surround it, but grass refuses to appear inside the circle. Soil samples showed no chemical contamination that could explain it. Former villagers claimed that at night, faint lights could be seen moving between the trees. Not flashlights, not fires, slow, floating glows that changed direction without sound. Some residents eventually abandoned their homes entirely. They did not describe monsters or ghosts. Instead, they spoke of something quieter and more terrifying. They felt the place was not meant for people. That staying there too long caused the mind to slowly break. Even today, Romanian authorities acknowledge Hojabaciu as a restricted research zone. Tourists visit during the day, but locals rarely stay after sunset. Villages that once existed near its edge never fully recovered their population. The land remains, the fear remains, and no official explanation has ever been accepted by everyone. Poveglia Island, Italy, an abandoned village erased by plague, pain, and silence. Between Venice and Lido, in the Venetian lagoon, lies Poveglia Island. On maps, it exists clearly. In reality, it is completely abandoned and legally restricted. Poveglia was not always empty. During the Roman Empire, it was used as a defensive outpost. Later, it became home to small communities of fishermen and their families. Life there was simple and documented in Venetian records. Everything changed during the Black Death. In the 14th century, Venice used Poveglia as a quarantine zone. Ships suspected of carrying plague victims were diverted there. The sick were removed and isolated. Many never left. Historical estimates suggest that tens of thousands of people died on Poveglia over several centuries. Bodies were burned in mass graves. Ash mixed with soil. Even today, parts of the island's ground are said to contain human remains. In the 20th century, the island was repurposed as a psychiatric hospital. This fact is not legend. It appears in Italian medical archives. Former hospital staff later claimed that patients reported hearing screams at night, voices calling from empty corridors, and shadows moving without explanation. Some patients refused to enter certain rooms, claiming they were watched. According to local accounts, the head doctor himself began experiencing hallucinations. He reportedly believed the spirits of plague victims were tormenting him. The hospital closed suddenly. Official reasons cited structural issues. The island was abandoned soon after. Fishermen avoid the waters around Poveglia. Boat engines reportedly fail near its shore. Visitors who illegally land on the island describe an overwhelming heaviness, a sense of pressure in the chest, and sudden panic. Buildings remain intact, yet decaying. Beds still sit in place. Doors hang open. Bells in the old tower sometimes ring due to wind, but many locals insist the sound is different at night. Slower, intentional. The Italian government has repeatedly refused permanent resettlement proposals, not officially because of hauntings, but because of safety concerns and structural instability. Yet Poveglia remains untouched, not redeveloped, not reused, not reclaimed. In a country where land is valuable, this silence speaks loudly. Dudleytown, Connecticut, USA, America's most infamous, cursed settlement. Deep in the woods of northwestern Connecticut lies Dudleytown, a settlement so thoroughly abandoned that it barely resembles a village today. Stone foundations remain. Roads disappeared. Forest reclaimed everything. But Dudleytown was once home to families. In the mid-1700s, settlers arrived and built homes. Records confirm that several families lived there for generations. Almost immediately, tragedy followed. Deaths occurred at an unusual frequency. Accidents, illnesses, suicides. Entire family lines ended. Several residents reportedly lost their sanity without clear cause. One man wandered into the forest and was never found. Another reportedly died after claiming something was watching him from the trees. By the early 1800s, the population had collapsed. Stories spread among nearby towns. People believed the land itself was cursed, possibly linked to ancient folklore or unexplained geological effects. Whether superstition or not, Dudleytown emptied completely. In the 20th century, paranormal investigators attempted overnight stays. Many reported equipment failure, intense fear, and unexplained sounds. Police eventually restricted access, citing safety concerns. Today, entering Dudleytown is illegal. Authorities rarely comment on paranormal claims, but they maintain strict enforcement. Locals avoid the area. Hikers report feeling disoriented if they stray too close. No homes were rebuilt. No memorials erected. The land was simply abandoned. Oradour-sur-Glane, France, a village left exactly as death found it. Oradour-sur-Glane is not abandoned because people fled in fear of ghosts. It is abandoned because an entire population was erased in a single afternoon, and the world decided it should never be forgotten. Located in central France, this village once lived quietly, untouched by war in any visible way, until June 10, 1944. On that day, German SS troops entered the village without warning. What followed is documented in court records, survivor testimony in military archives. The residents were ordered to gather in the town square. Men were separated from women and children. The men were taken to barns and shot. The women and children were locked inside the church, where explosives were placed and the building was set on fire. Within hours, Oradour-sur-Glane was silent. After the war, France faced a decision. The village could be rebuilt, or it could remain exactly as it was. The government chose preservation, not restoration, but freezing time itself. A new village was built nearby, while the original was left untouched. Today, visitors walk through streets where burned cars still sit. Sewing machines rust inside collapsed homes. Children's toys remain where they fell. Clocks stopped at the moment the massacre occurred. Nothing was cleaned. Nothing was staged. People who visit often describe something difficult to explain. There is no jump scare, no sound, no movement. Yet many report a sudden heaviness, as if the air itself carries memory. Some feel dizzy. Others become emotional without knowing why. Guides say visitors often stop speaking altogether while walking through the ruins. Psychologists suggest the effect may come from confronting preserved trauma so directly, but even skeptics admit the experience is unlike any other memorial. This is not a museum. It is a village where life ended mid-sentence. Locals avoid the ruins at night, not because of superstition, but because the silence feels wrong. The village does not feel empty. It feels paused. Oradour-sur-Glane remains officially uninhabited. No one is allowed to live there. No businesses operate. No lights turn on after sunset. The village does not need ghosts. History is enough. Centralia, Pennsylvania, USA. A town that burned from below. Centralia was once a typical American coal town. Families lived there for generations. Children went to school. Churches rang bells on Sundays. Nothing about the town suggested it would become one of the most disturbing abandoned places in North America. In 1962, a fire started in an underground coal mine beneath the town. At first, it was treated as a minor issue. Fires had happened before, but this one did not go out. Instead, it spread. The fire moved through abandoned mine tunnels, feeding on massive coal seams beneath Centralia. Over time, toxic gases began seeping into homes. Carbon monoxide filled basements. Sinkholes opened without warning. One appeared beneath a child's backyard, nearly killing him. Residents began reporting strange sensations long before evacuation orders came. People felt dizzy inside their own homes. Pets refused to enter certain areas. Some residents described hearing low rumbling sounds at night, like something shifting deep underground. Government agencies conducted studies. The conclusion was unavoidable. The fire could not be extinguished with available technology. Centralia was becoming uninhabitable. Over the next decades, residents were relocated. Houses were demolished. Streets were closed. Eventually, the town's zip code was revoked. Centralia ceased to exist administratively, even though the land remained. Today, smoke still rises from cracks in the ground. In winter, snow melts in unnatural patterns. Warning signs mark unstable areas, but the fire continues to burn, invisible yet active. Former residents have spoken about the psychological toll of leaving. Many said the town felt sick before it was abandoned, as if the ground itself was rejecting human presence. Some reported recurring dreams after leaving, centered on fire beneath their feet. Centralia is not considered haunted in a supernatural sense, yet it produces fear through reality. The danger is ongoing. The fire is expected to burn 4 decades more. The town is empty, but it is not dead. Something beneath it is still awake. Stull, Kansas, USA. A quiet place that people refuse to stay near. Stull is a small rural area in Kansas, easy to miss, surrounded by farmland and quiet roads. There is no sign announcing danger. No ruins like Oradour. No visible destruction like Centralia. Yet Stull has gained a reputation that persists across generations. At the center of that reputation is an old cemetery and the remains of a stone church that once stood beside it. Historical records confirm that the area experienced repeated tragedy during the 19th century. Disease outbreaks were common. Infant mortality was high. Several families lost multiple members in short periods of time. The church eventually collapsed, leaving only its foundation. The cemetery remained. Over time, stories began to circulate. Visitors described intense fear when standing near the cemetery. Some reported nausea. Others felt pressure in their chest or sudden panic. These reports came from different decades, from people who had no connection to one another. Students from nearby universities often attempted nighttime visits. Many left early. Some claimed their cameras malfunctioned. Others said they felt watched, even when completely alone. Local authorities eventually restricted access. Police patrols increased. Trespassing citations became common. Officially, this was to prevent vandalism. Unofficially, locals admit they are tired of what happens when people stay too long. What makes Stull unsettling is its simplicity. There are no dramatic ruins. Life continues nearby, yet even residents avoid the cemetery at night. Farmers working nearby say the area feels different after sunset, quieter than it should be. Psychologists suggest that expectation may play a role, but that does not explain why people unfamiliar with the stories report similar sensations. Stull does not advertise itself as cursed. People decide that on their own.